US President Donald Trump has threatened military intervention in Iran. Now, the US would need over 100,000 soldiers if it wants to invade Iran to topple the regime, just as it did with Saddam Hussein's Iraq in 2003. But in 2026, the US neither has the troops nor does Trump have the appetite for such a full-scale conflict. Now, Trump might choose to strike at Iran using aircraft or cyber attacks targeting the Iranian regime, attempting to collapse it by killing its leaders and destroying its military infrastructure. But there's a problem because currently there are no US carrier strike groups in the region. The Iwo Jima and the Gerald Ford are off Venezuela. The Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group is in the South China Sea. And of course, the George Washington is in Japan. That's 3 out of 11 carrier strike groups deployed, none in theater. So the US would actually look at striking Iran with sorties launched from its network of bases here in West Asia. It has bases all across the region, in UAE, in Oman, in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Jordan, Iraq. These are bases that they've built over several decades. But there's a problem there. Some of the Gulf states might not want their airspace to be used to target Iran because they fear retaliatory strikes on their territory. In which case, the US has the option of using its base in the Indian Ocean region. That's Diego Garcia. That's over 3,900 kilometers away in the Indian Ocean. Now, the US airstrikes this time around could be far more widespread than the 22nd June 2025 airstrikes on the 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Now, Iran, in response, could respond by firing hypersonic missiles and drones at US bases in the region. That's the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the Al Dahra Air Base in UAE, and of course the US 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. Now, all of these bases are vulnerable because they house something like 50,000 US soldiers and airmen. Now, Tehran might also attempt to enlarge the conflict by attacking Israel. It could also block the Straits of Hormuz by attacking merchant ships with missiles and deploying anti-ship mines to block this narrow passage. Now, this passage is critical. The Straits of Hormuz is where nearly 20% of global oil flows. And this blockade could increase the price of oil to double, over $120 a barrel perhaps, triggering oil shocks and global anxieties. Now, there's little that allies of Iran like Russia can do, despite the fact that they're very close. They are a few hours over the Caspian Sea. There's little they can do to help the Iranian regime except to possibly aid in the departure of their leaders or supply them with military equipment. But as things stand right now, the situation is tense. The region is on the edge because you're looking at another round of a US versus Iran conflict, which could be far, far worse than previous such installments.